Hey, this is Tulsa criminal defense attorney Stephen Cale. I'm going to talk to you today about boosting or increasing your chances of defeating or battling, actually winning your drug charge case. So I handle a lot of drug charge cases. I've even had some success in getting some dismissed. I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about that. Now, there's a lot of things that can go into whether or not you can defeat or beat your drug charge. For example, was the search proper? Was the arrest proper? Was your confession, so to speak, coerced? Were you read your rights or what's called Mirandized? Did the prosecutor properly file the charge in a technical legal sense? So let's talk about increasing your chances or potentially increasing your chances of winning your drug case, okay? So now, this may seem simple, and it is simple, but here's one way where you can increase your chances of beating your drug charge, and that's hiring a lawyer. But don't hire just any lawyer, okay? There's a lot of attorneys out there. Some practice in multiple areas, family law, along with criminal defense and personal injury. But hire an attorney that's dedicated to criminal defense, and there's a good reason for that. I don't say that just because I focus on criminal defense. I say it because it's true. I'm getting ready to tell you why you should hire somebody that specializes, or focuses rather, on criminal defense. And that's because really criminal law is technical. It's actually pretty complex. And a lot of law is, but I've found that criminal law is especially complex. Not that it's hard for me, but there's a lot of technicalities that go into criminal defense. And so if you want to increase your chances of winning your drug case, you really need to find somebody that's dedicated to criminal defense, because they're going to know those little technicalities. You really want somebody that's been at it for a long time. I've been practicing for nearly 20 years, getting ready to come up on my 20th year. And plus, you want somebody with the right kind of experience. So you want somebody that focuses his practice on criminal defense, like me. Now, let me give you a true example, a case that I had. I represented a woman who was charged with possession of marijuana. And here's what's happened in that case. She and a friend were coming back from a party on New Year's Eve. And it's actually rolled into New Year's Day because it was midnight had come and gone. So anyway, they're traveling on the highway. Her friend is driving and he's speeding. Well, it just so happened that a Oklahoma Highway Patrol officer or trooper was in the median, and this is nighttime. And so he stops him for speeding. The driver pulls over, the trooper goes up to the window, and as he's talking to the driver and explaining, I stopped you for speeding, the trooper can smell marijuana on the driver's breath. Well, tells the driver to get out, which the driver complied. And then he goes over to the passenger side of the car. Now, that's where my client is. And unknown to her, there was a cigarillo package in a passenger side door compartment. And inside that cigarillo package was a blunt, a marijuana blunt. And so when she opened up the door, that package fell out. She picked it up, put it back in the car. Well, guess what? Long story short, the trooper arrested both of them for possession of marijuana. Now, here's where having an attorney that focuses on criminal defense was really important. Now, the DA, the prosecutor, offered my client probation. She'd have to plead guilty, and she'd be put on either a suspended or deferred sentence, do about a year and a half of probation, pay fines, costs, DA supervision fees. But my client didn't want to do that, and I was happy for her if she rejected that offer. I'm okay with that. I don't mind going to a jury trial, and I was glad to fight for her. So, long time passed. I was trying to convince this prosecutor that, hey, my client's not guilty of this. And so there was no dismissal yet. So I said, okay, fine. Let's just go ahead and set it for jury trial. A little bit more time passed, and we got up to what's called a jury trial disposition docket. And that's where you decide, yes, we're going to go to jury trial. No, we're not. If we are, then let's set a date. And so ahead of time, I had forwarded to the prosecutor evidence that my client had no knowledge of that marijuana. Now, why is that important? Because each criminal offense can be broken down into elements or parts that make up that criminal offense. And one of the parts for possession of marijuana is that you have to knowingly and intentionally possess it. Now, I was able to demonstrate through evidence that I presented to the district attorney that my client had no idea that marijuana was there. And it wasn't just my client saying, oh, I had no idea. I was able to produce evidence to that prosecutor that she had no knowledge of this. And so the DA agreed to dismiss it. Now, I also had in my arsenal, if you will, a case called Staples versus State. And in that case, what that part of that case says is that proof amounting only to strong suspicion or mere probability is insufficient. So just because, for example, she was in the car, that might have been, strong suspicion or, strong probability, but that wasn't going to be enough. Now, why do I bring that up? Because attorneys that focus on criminal defense are going to stay abreast of the law. They're going to know those types of cases. So that's just another reason why I say getting a criminal defense attorney will help increase your chances of beating your drug charge, getting a criminal defense attorney that focuses on criminal defense. So I knew I had that case in the back of my pocket, so to speak, to where I could just show the DA that, hey, I've got this case also, got this evidence. Now, some DAs don't relent. And if that DA wanted to take it to jury trial, I was ready to go, ready to fight, ready to battle. And I believe, honestly, that I would have won that case had we gone to jury trial. But, going to jury trial, that would have been a lot of, extra expense for my client, more anxiety for her. And so fortunately, through the evidence I was able to produce, being aggressive in my negotiations, I was able to get that case dismissed. Now, that was one success, and just because successful at that doesn't mean I'll be that your case will have the same result. Each case is different, but again, hiring an attorney that focuses on criminal defense will really help you. Now, let's take a look at some of the common drug charges. I'm just going to list some off. One is drug possession. That's one. Drug manufacturing, endeavoring to manufacture drugs, a certain kind of drug. Usually methamphetamine, some other kind of drugs, possession of drug paraphernalia, and I'll talk about what paraphernalia is in another video. It's actually kind of technical. Drug distribution, possession with intent to distribute drugs, and cultivation. That's just a handful of drug offenses that are out there, a lot of which I handle. Trafficking in drugs, maintaining a place where drugs are sold, obtaining money through drug proceeds. That's another one that's coming up a lot. And so there's a way to defeat that also. Now, here's just, there's all kinds of defenses to bring up for a drug charge. And strategies. I'm just going to name a couple of strategies. One is a motion to quash. Sometimes it's called a demur. That's just saying, judge, for example, this charge isn't valid, and here's why. And so you're asking the court, the judge, to invalidate the charge and to dismiss it. I've had success in that on a couple of cases, including obstruction of an officer case. So, and I argued that on constitutional grounds. So that's just one example. I won't go into the details of that, but I just say that to tell you, here's one example of some strategies to defeat the drug charge that you might have against you. And then another one is a motion to suppress evidence. With a motion to suppress evidence, you're just asking the judge to exclude or throw out evidence that was obtained by law enforcement. Usually that comes about because of an improper arrest or an improper search or seizure, and there's some other reasons why that could come about. But those are just two of a handful of strategies that I've named that could be used potentially to defeat a drug charge. Now, again, every case is going to be different. The facts matter. But hiring a criminal defense attorney and a defense attorney that focuses on criminal defense can really, I believe, depending on the circumstances of your case, increase your chances of defeating or winning a drug charge, okay? So, but I can't help you if you don't give me a call. I'm attorney Stephen Cale of the Cale Law Office. Give me a call at 918-277-4800. That's 918-277-4800. Take a look at some of the testimonials at my website, CaleLawOffice.com. That's C-A-L-E lawoffice.com. These are real people, real clients. They haven't been paid. They're just speaking from their heart about how I help them. I hope this video helped you. Give me a call.